Hey, hello friends, how are you? So, welcome back to my channel. I have been not doing videos because I had an issue with my laptop, but nevertheless, it's back now. So, once again, Happy New Year to all of you. I hope all of you are doing well and we are planning ahead in this new year. So, for today's video, I have an interesting topic, and this particular topic is something that we all need, I guess, for all of us who are trying to apply for a UK work visa, and this topic is explicitly around that. Okay, so in today's video, we'll try to understand that what are the steps that is needed when you apply the visa in the application. So what we are trying to do here is, or what we will show here, is about the step-by-step process, the screens, the data that is needed to apply for your work visa. So without any further delay, let's move on.
Okay, so if you see here, this is the site for the UK visa application, and this is the link where you find the documents you will need to apply, like before you apply, and then we'll quickly move on to starting of the application. So I click on start now, and let me just select this, okay, and hide this message. So the first question is, where are you planning to live? We'll put England, Scotland, Wales, or North Ireland, and then continue. And so in the passport section, do I have an EU passport? No. I have an Indian passport. I will go forward, and then we'll proceed forward and select a country to provide your biometrics. So here I will put as India. You have to put your own country, of course, and then click on next. Moving on, let's click next here. Okay, now moving on to the next screen, we have the visa application center location. This is like the VFS locations, if you are aware of it. So here I will say that I have identified the location. If you have not, please go and check whether you have a VFS location at your city or your nearest city. So you will have a link in this site itself on the screen. Clicking on next, we move on to the next question. So it basically mentions about, like, did we have or do we have a certificate of sponsorship. So, and then this has to be used, this particular application, only to apply from outside of the UK for a skilled worker visa, and these are the list of things that you should have even before you start applying. So it just mentions about some of the points that you see there, and then let's scroll down to see what else we have. There is the how to apply, and then moving on, we'll just give a second, and these are some of the points that you have to remember, and we'll click on apply now. Let's click that. Okay, so it mentions you want to start a new application. There was like another application, so it just gives me this option. For you it might be just a new application, so I'll just click on start a new application, and it will give me an option to register my email ID. So use the common email ID that you have been using here, and not anything else. So I will just add on my email ID and enter a password. The password should be meeting the requirements, which is kind of mentioned in gray just above the box, and I will just retype the password. And please do remember this password to retrieve your application at a later point of time. Now the next screen comes up with the certificate of sponsorship information. So here we have to provide the details of the COS, or cost reference number, that is provided by your employer. Sometimes you will have like a form, sometimes they will just provide a number. You can provide that number. I will enter an previous number that I had, and then there would be some other basic questions about how they would contact you for this application. So moving forward, we'll just click on save and continue, and then there would be question about additional emails, which I don't have now, and click on save and continue. Moving on, provide your telephone numbers and provide with your ISD code. For India it is 91. So I will just add my phone number, and then select that where is this phone number being used, whether it's like out of UK or inside UK, and click on continue. Any other numbers, I'll just simply select no and then click on save and continue. How they're going to contact you, that's another question. So whether they can call or SMS on that number, so I just click on that option, and then comes the demographic information, the basic information that is needed. So your given name, that is your first name, and then there would be like the surname, which is your family name basically. So these are some of the basic text boxes or fields that are available. Moving on, okay, so we just click on save and continue, and then the next question is I have any other names, which I will just select no. If you have, just select yes and provide that information. Clicking on save and continue. Moving on to the relationship status and also gender. So just select married, continue, and provide the address. So next screen is the address screen. So just put the address from your home country, of course, and then add the relevant information in the fields, and then we'll move forward. I'm just skipping some of these key fields because this is just a demo, and yeah, so we'll just click on correspondence address as yes, and then click on save and continue. Moving on to the next screen, we would have the property related information, like how long you have been at your residence. You can put the number of years you have been kind of residing at your place, and then provide like who owns it, or whether it's a rental home. You can put accordingly. You can put other, and then add the statement that I am writing here. So a lot of our scenarios might be similar to what I write, say living with parents, and parent own that particular property. So yes. Now moving on to the passport details, the next screen. So provide your passport number, and be careful that you write the correct number. Your issuing authority would be the place of issue as it's mentioned. For me, I will just write it's Kolkata for me, and again the issue date and the expiry date. Just to keep in mind, all of this data is incorrect. This is just dummy data for the demo, it's not the real data. Now once we have filled it up, we will just click on save and continue as before. Be careful that you enter correct data when you are entering this particular screen. Moving on, if you want to provide any other identity card information, say for example you want to put your Aadhaar card information or voter ID card information, you have to click on yes and then provide that information here. If you click on no, that's fine. I don't think that would be an issue, so it's up to your discretion. The visa application will not get impacted by this. Now coming to your nationality, it will be like your citizenship, current citizenship. That would be like, at least for me, it will be India, and your place of birth, which is also kind of provided in your passport. So yes, and that's something that you should be adding correctly. Again, clicking on save and continue. Let's move on. So if you have other nationalities, there are some of us who might have dual citizenship, so they might add that. Spoken language preference, add English and save on continue. English language assessment. Now this is one of the requirements that I have spoken about in my last video. This is where you have to provide yes, because that is one of the prerequisites even before you apply. So if you say no, then your visa has a high probability to get rejected. And for this question, you have two options. So you can provide your English test score, which is like, one of the examples is like getting an IELTS, or if you have studied in a UK university, you can have that, or if you have like completed like an graduation in English, you have to do like an evaluation through ECTIS. So either of the three options you can provide, and you can click continue from that. Now this is a question about PhD. So your job role might require a PhD, mine doesn't, and if you don't have a PhD, you just select no. If you have a PhD, it might or might not relate to your job, you can still select as yes and provide that information. So I will select no, I don't have a PhD and my job doesn't need one, and I will then click on save and continue. Okay, so the next screen is about your partner. So if you have your wife or husband or any other partner who are applying along with you, or maybe later as well, so you have to provide that details, and whether they would be traveling with you, and their passport number as well. So, and that's the screen. Let's move forward. Next would be like the details of your parents and your so just provide the details as well of your parents, depending on exactly what field you are filling up. And that is about this screen. Okay, let's fill up this quickly, and we'll move forward. Just put it as India, and move ahead. Okay, this is the next one. Let's also put this and go forward quickly. Not really add any more time, and just give the dates and provide their date of birth as well, and move forward from there. Okay, and I think we are done with the screen. Okay, so we just have to give the next screen is like, if there is any family who lives in the UK, provide that. If no, then click on no. The next is, where will you stay in the UK? So this is an important question. So if you already know the location that you're going to stay, you can provide that. You can provide the exact address. You can enter an UK post office and provide the address there. If not, you can just say no, and that will give you some further options to kind of add on. And say, for example, you are sure you are going to say stay in an Airbnb for like first 15 days or a month, you can add that address location as well. And then maybe you're staying at a friend's place and then moving on to your apartment. So all those combinations will be important here. The next screen is about the UK travel history. If you had not been to UK, say no, otherwise say yes and provide the information. And that is pretty much about these screens. And then if you have traveled to any of these countries, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, US, Switzerland, or in the EU, that is the European Union, provide that information as well. So I'll just click on no. Any other countries, if you have traveled, put it as yes, otherwise no. And that is pretty much about this screen. Now this is your this next screen is your planned travel information. So this is like the date you want to travel to the UK, like, and remember that this is an application that we are doing outside of UK. So this date is very important, because based on this date your visa would be granted. So the initial visa is like a sticker that is like given to you in your passport, which will be of 90 days duration, which is clearly written here. So please be careful when you put this date. This is like an approximate date. You can be 5-10 days here and there, that's fine, but you have to be absolutely sure that you are giving the correct date so that you can travel within that 90-day period. This is like a immigration history, whether you have like refused a visa or something earlier, or you have like there is any kind of question like immigration related breaches that you have done, provide that information. This is mostly like criminal conviction questions, like any penalty or any court proceedings that you have had, provide that information and then click on continue. Questions related war crimes, most of us will say no to it, and then click on save and continue for this screen as well. And that is pretty much it. These are like terrorism related questions. These would be primarily no for all of us. It should be no for all of us, and then move forward. Same for this screen as well. Okay, so moving forward, on this particular screen we see that there are again extension of the terrorism based questions. So and then the next screen is about the character related question, which is some questions are on employment or any other characters that you see here. Mostly just say no to these questions. Your employment history is the next screen. So if you are part of like the armed services or military or any other sensitive organizations like media or journalism, things like those, provided here. On this one, yes, so I will just click I have not worked and then save and continue. This is the sponsor license number. So this is the number which is provided in your course, the certificate of sponsorship. So I will just show the sponsor license number, which is the first field in your course letter. So that's the number that you have to provide here. And let's click on save and continue. The next is the sponsor certifying maintenance. So yes, maintenance is something that is the cost or the expenses that is incurred on the first month of your stay in the UK, and that information is also provided in your cost letter. So there is a very specific segment which mentions about maintenance. As I scroll down, I will show which part of it does it say. So if you see, there is an option that tick to certify maintenance for migrant and dependents, so which is like yes in my case. So if this is yes in your course letter, then you have to select as maintenance is supplied, and you have to select as option yes. If it is N in your letter, you have to select as no. This is your planned employment. This is the title of the job, so that will also be provided in your cost letter. So my job title is say business analyst, and I will provide that. So your job title is the exact information that is provided in your cost letter. So we'll just add it here, and let me add it quickly. The next one is about the annual salary. So that would also be provided. Gross salary in pounds, sterling. So this is the options. Just provide the value that is provided there, and then just copy and paste it, and just click on save. If you have overseas criminal record check, so if you need criminal record, so that is like the police clearance certificate, basically we call it PCC. And if for most of the medical jobs you will be needing this, but otherwise you don't need for the other sectors. Say for example for IT or our sector we don't need it. So that's what is kind of clarified or kind of asked in these questions. So, and this is like if you're going for a health and care visa, you will definitely need like a police clearance certificate, which is like the background verification. So I am not kind of having the health and care visa. Or if you are applying for a midwife or nurse, you will be needing the police clearance certificate, and this is dependent on the job code or the job title that you find in your cost letter once again. So if you are applying for any medical profession, this is kind of mandatory. So that's all is kind of getting updated here. This is shortage occupation list. So we do have like a shortage occupation list, and there is like the number of occupations that's there. Most of the medicine related or medical professions are there, IT is there, and some of the others. The certificate of sponsorship length, so I will select 3 years because that's what is kind of provided from the start and end date in your cost letter. This is an ATAS. This is needed for some of the jobs, which will be clearly mentioned in your cost letter as well. So it will be either yes or no in your cost letter. Additional information, if you have like additional information that you wanted to provide which was not there in all of the questions or any of the questions earlier, provide that information in this screen. So that is pretty much about this, and this is the final screen. Okay, so in the final screen that you see here, all of the answers that you have provided will be kind of displayed, and you can revalidate any of the answers that you have provided and change them at this stage as well. So once I click on continue, it will give me an option to kind of select the mandatory documents, which will definitely like the passport, and then there would be some additional document as well. So one of them being the TB certificate, because there are like certain TB test requirements for certain countries. So that's something that is required. There would be additional documents depending on what is your exact scenario. Say for example, you for me it was like degree evaluation for English language requirements. It will be financial statements as well. So all of that. This is a final declaration where you have to kind of validate that none of these apply to you, in terms of like you have not been basically illegally staying in the UK. That's all it means from all of these points, and then click on that I confirm, and save and continue. And this is another declaration as well. You just have to like select that you are over 18, or if you are doing it for your child, you have to just select that I am the applicant under 18 or something like that. Again, accept the above and then go to the next screen. That is pretty much that we have. I will just click on accept, and then again this is like an consent that you are providing for the application, and I'll just click on continue on this screen, and this is the final screen. Like on this screen, the application basically provides you with the option to change anything up to the screen. Once you click on the save and continue, it will move on to another site, which is like the immigration health surcharge website, which is an external site. Now this is the page where we have to pay, and this is like this is a significant payment which is kind of provided as a part of the visa application. Once you move on to that particular screen, you cannot come back and change any of the details that you have provided. So what should we do to kind of save this, and if you want to kind of come back, what would be the process? Let me show you. Okay, so what we have to do is click on this return to this application later. So once we do that, you will be provided with this link, which is a very unique link to your application. You can also download your completed application for your reference later on, and also you can email this link to your email ID. So that is the way how the two ways how you can retrieve your application. And if you want to save it or you are not sure, you can do this by this particular option and continue later on.
So, was it easy? Was it complicated? What do you feel about the process? Yes, there would be a certain number of steps that needs to be completed even after the last screen. So we cannot show all of it because again, we have to pay for our IHS and the visa application fee. Now, talking about IHS, the Immigration Healthcare Surcharge, it will definitely depend on your length of the visa, right? Or your length of the work that is provided in your course. We will come back in our next video and we will discuss about some of these costs related to the visa application process. And we will talk about what are the different categories of costs that you would incur, and say for example your visa, your IHS, if you need maintenance as we saw in the application process. So all of that will be we will talk in detail in the next video. But till then, take care and come back soon. Bye. Tata.